And I swiped through Hinge on a random Tuesday night, sprawled on my beat-up couch in my Denver apartment, the city lights flickering through the window like they were mocking me. 28 years old, a graphic designer who'd rather sketch logos than make small talk at some crowded bar. Denver's huge, right? Mile high. City. All that jazz. But it felt too damn big for someone like me, someone who'd always been better at drawing feelings than saying them out loud. Then, there it was. Her profile. Chloe. Her picture hit me like a punch. Dark hair spilling over her shoulders, a smirk that said she knew something I didn't. Her bio? If you can make me laugh, I'm yours. Sharp, like a Taylor Swift lyric you can't shake. I stared at my phone, my thumb hovering. What do you even say to that? I typed out something cheesy about aspen trees, how they're the only thing in Colorado that could outshine her smile. Hit send, held my breath. Ping. She replied in, 2 seconds flat. Bold move, Aspen guy. You got a better line? My heart did a dumb little flip. Have you ever trusted the wrong person? I didn't know it then, but in 6 months she'd break me in ways I never imagined. We texted for days, firing off dumb jokes and movie quotes. She loved When Harry Met Sally, said she believed in that meant-to-be spark. I told her I wasn't so sure, but damn, she was making me want to believe. By the time we set up our first date, I was already half gone, doodling her name in the margins of my sketchbook like some lovesick teenager. We met at this cozy coffee shop in Lodo, the kind with a chalkboard menu and a barista yelling, "Cappuccino for Jake," every 5 minutes. October in Denver's pure magic. Golden aspen leaves swirling outside, the air crisp enough to make your pumpkin spice latte feel like a hug. I got there early, nervous as hell, my flannel shirt suddenly feeling too try-hard. Then she walked in. God, that smile. It was like the room got brighter. "Leo, right?" she said, sliding into the booth. Her voice was warm, like she'd known me forever. "Hope you're as funny in person, Aspen guy." We talked for hours. Hours. The lattes went cold, the shop emptied out, and we were still going. Her love for hiking, my obsession with Wes Anderson flicks, the way she wanted to design her own tiny house someday. It was easy, like we'd been doing this forever. I walked her to her car, the streetlights buzzing, and she hugged me. Not one of those quick, polite ones. A real hug, her lavender shampoo lingering in the air. "This was fun," she said, her eyes catching mine. "Let's do it again." I floated home, my phone buzzing with her goodnight text before I even unlocked my door. That was the moment every rom-com promised, the one where you feel like the universe is finally on your side. Comment if you've ever felt that spark on a first date, because I swear, I was alive for the first time in years. The dates piled up fast, a hike at Red Rocks, her teasing me for panting halfway up the trail. "City boy," she laughed, tossing me her water bottle. Netflix marathons on my couch, arguing over whether Stranger Things jumped the shark. She'd curl up against me, her head on my shoulder, and I'd think, this is it. This is what people write songs about. But there was this voice in my head, quiet but stubborn. Maybe I'm not enough for someone like her. She was so alive, confident. The kind of person who could walk into a room and own it. I was just Leo, the guy who spent his days tweaking fonts and his nights wondering if he'd ever figure out love. Still, I pushed it down. She kept showing up, didn't she? That had to mean something. By late October, I was in deep. We were at this overlook near Golden, the stars sharp against the chilly night sky, our breath fogging up the air. I'd been carrying the question around for days, practicing it in my head like a dork. "Chloe," I said, my hands stuffed in my jacket pockets to hide the shaking. "I know it's only been a month, but will you be my girlfriend?" My voice cracked a little, and I cursed myself for it. She looked at me, her face soft but unreadable, that smirk of hers nowhere to be found. "Let me think about it," she said, her voice gentle but firm. She squeezed my hand, smiling just enough to keep me from spiraling. I'm not saying no, Leo. Just give me a sec. I nodded, my stomach twisting, but her hand stayed in mine as we stared at the stars. I wanted to believe it was fine, that she just needed time. But as we drove back to the city, her silence felt heavier than the night. Would she say yes? Or was this too good to be true? 2 days after that starry night in Golden, I was pacing my apartment, my phone burning a hole in my pocket. I'd been replaying Chloe's Let Me Think About It, like a bad song stuck in my head, overanalyzing every word, every glance. Was she pulling away? Was I too much? Too soon? My sketchbook was open on the coffee table, half-finished doodles of her smile staring back at me, mocking my nerves. Then, ping. Her text lit up my screen. Okay, Aspen guy. I'm in. Let's do this. My heart damn near exploded. I read it again, just to be sure, then fist-pumped like an idiot, knocking over my coffee mug. Thank God it was empty. Chloe was my girlfriend. Mine. I called her right away, and her laugh through the phone was like sunshine. You're such a dork, Leo, she said, but I like it. I was on cloud nine, floating through Denver's chilly streets, the golden aspens looking brighter than ever. Ever felt that high when someone says yes? I was untouchable. Thanksgiving was coming, and I wanted Chloe to meet my mom. Yeah, I know. Big step, but it felt right. We drove out to Aurora for a pre-Thanksgiving barbecue at Mom's place. The kind where the air smells like charcoal and Lone Star beer cans pile up in the recycling bin. Mom's backyard was all twinkle lights and mismatched lawn chairs, the grill hissing and popping as she flipped burgers. Sizzle. That sound cut through the chatter, loud enough to make me jump. Chloe was a natural charming everyone with stories about her hiking trips, her green sweater hugging her like it was made for her. Mom pulled me aside while Chloe was grabbing a soda, her eyes twinkling. She's got a spark, Leo. Don't screw this up. I grinned, my chest puffing up. Mom liked her. That was huge. Chloe caught my eye across the yard, raising her can of La Croix like a toast, and I thought, this is what happy feels like. Back in my tiny apartment, we started building our own little world. We'd cook pasta in my cramped kitchen, the kind with peeling linoleum and a stove that only worked half the time. I'd chop garlic, she'd stir the sauce, her lavender perfume mixing with the sizzling herbs. One night, I joked, when we get our own place, you cook, I'll do dishes. She laughed, bumping her hip against mine. Deal, but I'm picking the paint colors. We talked about the future like it was already ours. A dog, maybe a place near the mountains, somewhere we could see the stars. It wasn't just talk. It felt real, like we were sketching a life together. I'd catch her looking at me sometimes, her eyes soft, and I'd think, she sees me, really sees me, but that voice in my head, the one that whispered I wasn't enough, it was still there, quieter now, but lurking. One night in early December, I pulled out my old keyboard, this clunky thing I'd had since high school. I'd been messing around with a melody for weeks. Something soft and warm, inspired by her. I played it for Chloe, my fingers stumbling a little from nerves. I call it Aspen Glow, I said, glancing at her. It's for you. Her eyes got shiny, and she hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Leo, it's beautiful, she whispered, her voice thick. She kissed me, and for a second the world was just us, the notes still humming in the air. That moment was perfect, you know. The kind you want to bottle up and keep forever. I thought, this is why people fall in love. It was us against the world, and nothing could touch us. But then, December 13th hit, a Friday. Chloe said she was going out for dinner with coworkers, some fancy place downtown. Don't worry, I'll be fine, she told me when I offered to pick her up. Just a work thing. Cool, no big deal, right? I spent the night sketching, trying to ignore the clock. By midnight, she hadn't texted. I sent a quick, you good? No reply. My stomach started twisting, but I told myself to chill. She's busy, having fun, whatever. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Sorry, went to a bar. I'm home now. That was it. No call, no details. My gut screamed something was off, but I pushed it down. She's just tired, I told myself. Love means trusting her, no matter what. I typed back, glad you're safe. Night. But I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, the city lights flickering through my blinds, and wondered why her text felt like a lie. Have you ever ignored a red flag? Drop it in the comments, because looking back, that was the moment I should have paid attention. The next few days, things were fine. Not great, but fine. Chloe was her usual self. Funny, sweet, stealing bites of my breakfast burrito when she thought I wasn't looking. But there was this distance, like she was holding something back. I'd ask about her night out, and she'd shrug, saying, just boring work stuff. I wanted to believe her so bad. I mean, we were happy, right? We had our pasta nights, our inside jokes. Aspen Glow. She wouldn't pull away for no reason. I kept rationalizing, telling myself I was overthinking it. She's just busy, my brain insisted. You're being paranoid. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I'd catch her checking her phone, her thumb moving too fast like she didn't want me to see. I'd ask, everything okay? And she'd flash that perfect smile saying, totally. I bought it because I wanted to, because I loved her. Looking back, I was blind. I was so wrapped up in our little world, our kitchen dance parties, her laugh, the way she'd hum my melody when she thought I wasn't listening, that I missed the cracks. I wanted to believe we were bulletproof, that love was enough to keep us together. But that night, that unanswered text, it was the first thread unraveling. I lay awake after her 2 a.m. message, my mind racing. Why hadn't she called? Why go to a bar and not tell me? I could have driven her home, kept her safe. The questions piled up, but I shoved them aside, clinging to the idea that she'd explain, that it'd all make sense. I wanted to trust her, to hold on to the girl who cried over my song, who promised me dishes and a dog. But as I stared at my phone, the screen dark with no new messages, a cold feeling settled in my chest. I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. Why wasn't she answering? Was I overthinking? Or was something wrong? December 15th started like any other Sunday. I was in my Denver apartment, nursing a coffee, sketching a logo for a freelance gig. The snow was falling outside, soft and quiet, blanketing the city in that winter hush. My phone buzzed on the counter, and I grabbed it, expecting Chloe's usual morning meme or a miss you text. Instead, it was a wall of words that hit me like a freight train. Leo, my parents think we're moving too fast. I've been thinking, and they're right. We need to break up. I stared at the screen, my brain refusing to process it. Break up? Break up? We were just cooking pasta, talking about dogs, humming Aspen Glow. My fingers fumbled a reply. What? Can we talk? Please, Chloe. Her response was quick, cold. I just need space. I'm sorry. Space? What the hell did that even mean? I called her, my heart pounding, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted again, begging for clarity, for anything. Nothing. I sat there, the snow piling up outside, feeling like the ground had vanished beneath me. Ever had your world flip upside down in a single text? That was me, drowning in my own kitchen. I couldn't just sit there. I grabbed my keys, my coat, and drove to her place in Capitol Hill, the roads slick with fresh snow. A car horn blared as I cut someone off, my hands shaking on the wheel. I didn't care. I needed to see her, to understand. When I got to her apartment, I buzzed her door, my breath fogging in the freezing air. She let me in, but the second I saw her face, I knew something was wrong. She wouldn't look at me, her eyes fixed on the floor, her arms crossed like a shield. Chloe, what's going on? I asked, my voice cracking. Your parents? Really? Talk to me. She sighed, her voice flat. It's just too much, Leo. You'll understand someday. Someday? What kind of bullshit was that? I begged. God, I hate admitting it, but I did. I told her I'd slow down, give her space. anything she wanted. She just shook her head, her lips a tight line. "I need to do this," she said, and that was it. She walked me to the door, and I stepped back into the snow, my chest hollow. I drove home, the city a blurry mess through my windshield, wondering what I'd done wrong. We limped along after that, if you can even call it that. She didn't fully cut me off, but it was like dating a ghost. We'd text here and there, short and awkward, like strangers trying to be polite. I kept hoping she'd change her mind, that she'd miss me, miss us. I'd replay our best moments, her laugh in my kitchen, her tears over my melody, and convince myself we could fix this. Love was supposed to be worth fighting for, right? But every time I reached out, she was distant. Her replies clipped. "Busy with work," she'd say, or "just need time." I clung to those scraps like they were gold, telling myself it was temporary, that she'd come back. Looking back, I was an idiot, holding onto a rope that was already fraying. Anyone ever make you feel like you're fighting for something that's already gone? That's where I was, stuck in quicksand. Then, December 20th hit. 5 days before Christmas, and I was still fooling myself, sending her a dumb Santa emoji to lighten the mood. She called me that night, out of nowhere. I thought, this is it. She's ready to talk. But her voice was different. Sharp. Final. "Leo, I got a job in Chicago," she said. "I'm moving in January. I can't do long distance." My stomach dropped. Chicago? Since when? I scrambled, offering to visit, to make it work, to wait for her. "We can figure it out," I said, my voice desperate. "I don't want to lose you." She cut me off, her words like ice. "It's not about that. I need a clean break." I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, stunned silent. A clean break. Like I was a bone she needed to snap. I mumbled something, I don't even remember what, and she hung up. I stared at my phone, the call log showing 2 minutes and 43 seconds. That's all it took to end us. The next day, December 21st, I texted her one last time, hoping for, I don't know, a miracle. "Can we at least talk in person? I'm so confused." Her reply came an hour later, and it was the final nail. "My feelings changed, Leo. Don't wait for me." That was it. I tried calling, texting, anything to get through. Then I noticed she'd blocked me. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, my number, everything. Gone. I refreshed her profiles like a maniac, thinking it was a glitch, but no. She'd erased me. I sank onto my couch, the apartment dark except for the glow of my phone. The snow kept falling outside, muffling the world, and I felt like I was suffocating. I kept asking myself, was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? My sketchbook lay open, her face staring back from every page, and I couldn't stand it. I shoved it under the couch, out of sight. What would you say to someone who keeps lying to you? Comment below, because I was out of words, out of fight. I didn't leave my apartment for days. Christmas came and went, but I barely noticed. Mom called, worried, but I brushed her off, saying I was fine. I wasn't. I'd scroll through old texts, rereading her "I'm yours" from that first Hinge message, trying to figure out where it went wrong. The Aspen Glow melody was still on my keyboard, but I couldn't touch it. It hurt too much. I'd see couples outside my window, laughing in the snow, and it felt like a personal attack. Denver's winter was brutal that year. The streets icy, the sky gray, and it matched the mess inside me. I kept thinking about her words. "You'll understand someday." My feelings changed. And they didn't add up. She'd been so sure, so in, and now this. I started wondering if I'd imagined it all, if I'd built her up into someone she wasn't. But the lavender perfume on my hoodie, the coffee stain on my couch from our first Netflix night, those were real. We were real, weren't we? By New Year's Eve, I was a wreck. I didn't go to any parties, didn't watch the ball drop. I sat in my dark apartment, the city's fireworks muffled through the window, and tried to make sense of it. She was gone, and I was left with nothing but questions. Why Chicago? Why now? Why block me like I was a stranger? I thought that was the worst of it, the lowest I could go. I was wrong. She'd blocked me everywhere, cut me out like I was nothing, and I thought that was the end of the pain. But there was one more twist waiting, one more knife she'd left to turn. I just didn't know it yet. January 15th, 2025, and I was still a mess, slumped on my couch in my Denver apartment, the snow outside piling up like it was trying to bury me. The Christmas lights I'd never bothered to take down blinked pathetically in the corner, mocking my attempt to feel anything but numb. I was scrolling Instagram, mindlessly, just trying to distract myself from the hole Chloe left. My thumb froze when I saw it, a post from Mark. Yeah, that Mark, the guy who'd been liking her photos for months, the one I'd told myself was just some harmless orbiter. There she was, Chloe, beaming in a photo, her left hand raised to show off a sparkling engagement ring. Mark's arm was around her, his grin smug as hell. The caption, "She said yes, my forever." My heart stopped. I read it again, then again, the words blurring as my pulse hammered in my ears. Ping. The notification sound hit like a slap, sharp and cruel. Chicago? Her parents? A job? All lies. She hadn't just left me, she'd been building a whole new life while I was begging her to stay. Have you ever had the rug pulled out from under you like that? I was shaking, my phone slipping in my sweaty hands. I clicked through Mark's profile like a man possessed, piecing it together. Photos of them at a ski lodge, her laughing in a hot tub, him kissing her cheek. The timestamps burned into my brain. December 10th, December 18th, dates when she was still texting me, still calling me Aspen Guy. I sat there, the apartment dark except for the glow of my screen, and felt something snap. Not sadness, anger, pure white-hot rage. She hadn't just broken up with me, she'd played me, strung me along while she was planning her fairytale with someone else. I remember those late-night texts, her coworker dinner that stretched to 2 a.m., her vague excuses. It wasn't a red flag. It was a damn neon sign, and I'd been too lovesick to see it. I wanted answers, and I wanted them now. I didn't have her number anymore. She'd blocked me everywhere, but I wasn't letting this go. I grabbed my buddy Jake's phone and called her. My hands were trembling as it rang, each second stretching like a lifetime. She picked up, her voice cautious. "Hello?" I didn't waste time. "Chloe, it's Leo. I saw the post. What the hell?" There was a long pause, then a sigh, like I was inconveniencing her. "Leo, we were done. I didn't cheat on you." Her tone was so calm, so rehearsed, it made my skin crawl. "Didn't cheat?" I snapped. "You were with him while we were still together. I saw his comments, Chloe. Months back." She laughed. Actually laughed. This sharp, dismissive sound. "You're paranoid. Mark was just a friend then. I met him recently. It just happened." "Recently?" The photos said otherwise. I pressed her, my voice shaking with fury. "So those late nights, the work dinners, that was all bullshit? You were with him?" She got defensive, her voice rising. "You're twisting this, Leo. You need to let it go. We're over." I felt like I was losing my mind. "Twisting it? You lied to my face. You told me it was your parents, then Chicago, then feelings changed. Now you're engaged. What the hell, Chloe?" She went quiet again, then said, "I didn't owe you every detail. I'm happy now. Be happy for me." Happy for her? I wanted to scream. She'd gutted me, left me questioning my worth, and now she was standing there, gaslighting me into thinking I was the crazy one. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles hurt. "You're unbelievable," I said, my voice low. "I trusted you. I loved you." She didn't even flinch. "I'm sorry you feel that way," she said, like she was reading from a script. That was it. I hung up, my chest heaving, and sat there in the dark. Jake's phone still warm in my hand. Have you ever been gaslit like that? Made to feel like your pain's your fault? Drop your story in the comments, because I was done letting her rewrite mine. I switched back to my phone and typed out a final text from Jake's number. knowing she'd probably block it too. I'll never forgive you. You built your happiness on my pain. I hit send, then tossed the phone onto the couch like it was poison. The anger was still there, but something else was creeping in. Clarity. I wasn't the problem. She'd manipulated me, used her charm to keep me on the hook while she planned her exit. That ring, that smile in the photo, it was all fake, a performance for the world. The real Chloe was the one who laughed when I called her out, who told me to let it go, like I was a nuisance. I opened Instagram again, staring at that diamond glinting on her finger, her smile so perfect it made my stomach turn. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was a theft. She'd taken my trust, my love, my hope, and left me with nothing but lies. I paced my apartment, the snow still falling outside, the city quiet under its blanket of white. I thought I'd hit rock bottom when she blocked me, when she said her feelings changed. But this was worse. She hadn't just moved on. She'd rewritten our story, made me the fool who believed in Aspen Glow. While she was plotting her engagement, I kept thinking about Mark's old comments on her posts, the heart eyes emojis from last fall when we were hiking Red Rocks, when she was crying over my melody. Had she been talking to him then? Laughing with him while I was falling for her? The questions were knives, each one cutting deeper. I wanted to hate her, and I did, but I hated myself more for not seeing it, for believing her when she said, "I'm yours." I sat down, my hands still shaking, and stared at the Christmas lights, their weak glow flickering like my last shred of hope. I thought that text, that call, was the end of it. I thought I'd said my piece, that I could start clawing my way out of this, but the worst was yet to come. She'd taken everything, my heart, my trust, my pride, and I didn't think she could hurt me more. I was wrong. She had one final twist, one last way to make sure I'd never forget her. I didn't know it yet, but it was waiting for me, polished and perfect, ready to rip open every wound I was trying to close. April 2025, and I was finally starting to breathe again. The snow had melted in Denver, the city waking up with spring's green haze, but I was still carrying Chloe's betrayal like a bruise. I'd stopped checking her Instagram, stopped torturing myself with Mark's smug posts. I was healing, or at least trying to, sketching again, even smiling at Mom's bad jokes during our weekly calls. But curiosity? Damn, it's a killer. One night, I was sipping a beer, the city skyline twinkling through my window, and I wondered what her life looked like now. Not because I missed her, but because I needed to know how someone could move on so fast after torching my world. I Googled her name, half expecting nothing. Instead, I found her wedding photographer's website, a slick page with a highlight video front and center. My stomach twisted, but I clicked play, bracing myself like I was about to walk into a storm. The video loaded, all soft filters and fairy lights. There was Chloe, glowing in a white dress, her veil fluttering in the breeze. Mark, in his crisp tux, looked like he'd stepped out of a rom-com. They were laughing, twirling, the perfect couple. I felt sick, but I couldn't look away. Then, the DJ's voice boomed through my laptop speakers, cutting through the cheesy violin music like a blade. "Ladies and gentlemen, the couple's first dance!" The crowd cheered, and then it hit. My melody. Aspen Glow. The notes I'd played for her, the ones that made her cry, the ones I poured my soul into, were filling the room as she swayed with him. My beer slipped from my hand, hitting the floor with a dull thud. She'd taken it. The one thing that was ours. The one piece of me she hadn't already stolen, and she'd given it to him. To them. Have you ever had something sacred ripped away like that? It wasn't just a song. It was my heart, my trust, my hope, dressed up for her perfect day. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I was empty, like she'd hollowed me out one last time. The video kept playing, her smile fake as ever, but all I heard was my melody, twisted into something I didn't recognize. I slammed my laptop shut, my hands shaking, and stood there, staring at Denver's skyline. The city lights blurred, not from tears, but from rage, from exhaustion. I thought about calling her, screaming, demanding why she'd do this. But what was the point? She'd gaslight me again, tell me I was overreacting, that it was just a song. No, she didn't get to have that power anymore. I walked to my keyboard, the one I hadn't touched since December, and sat down. My fingers hovered over the keys, hesitant, but then I played. Not Aspen Glow, something new. A melody for me, sharp and raw, like the city outside. I wasn't writing for her or for us. I was writing for Leo, the guy who'd been broken but was still here, still fighting. I shut my laptop for good that night, cutting her out of my life like she'd cut me out of hers. Chloe had taken everything, my love, my trust, my music, but she didn't get to keep me. I looked out at Denver, the mountains faint in the distance, and made a promise. I'd love myself first, build something she could never touch. That new melody, it was mine, and it was just the start. I'd never let anyone steal my music again. How did you rebuild after heartbreak? Tell me in the comments, because I'm still writing my second chance. Subscribe if you believe in starting over. I'm not done yet.